So good day everyone, I am Mariel P. Kailing, your reporter for today about holistic rubric. So in this discussion, we will be tackling what is holistic rubric, what are its advantages and disadvantages, when to use it, and what's the difference between holistic and analytic rubrics. Okay, so let's start. So what comes into your mind when you hear the word holistic? According to Merriam-Webster, holistic is related to or concerned with wholes or with complete systems. So what it means is that we will deal with or take into account the whole of something, not just a part. Now, how about holistic rubric, or what is holistic rubric? A holistic rubric assigns a level of performance by assessing performance across multiple criteria as a whole indicated by one single score. So, in one single score, multiple criteria of the performance are covered. Holistic rubric does not list separate levels of performance for each criterion. You just look into the performance and you give one holistic score to that whole performance. Another is, a holistic rubric is the most general kind. It lists 3 to 5 levels of performance along with a broad description of the characteristics that define each level. The levels can be labeled with numbers such as 1 to 4, letters such as A to F, or words such as beginning to exemplary. So in other words, for each level of performance, all the criteria that need to be evaluated are identified together. For instance, with a scale of 1 to 4, level 4 may contain correct grammar, proper organization of ideas, etc. It was termed as broad because one level covers multiple criteria. What each level is called isn't what makes the rubric holistic. It's the way the characteristics are all lumped together. In holistic rubric, descriptions of each attainable level of performance are written in paragraphs and usually in full sentences. Let me show you an example of holistic rubric. In this rubric, we have 3 levels which are strong performance, satisfactory performance, and needs improvement. Now, we can see that descriptions of each level are written in paragraphs. Aside from that, one level covers multiple criteria. For instance, the level strong performance covers clear focus, accuracy of information, smooth transitions, and correct grammars. Kumbaga, usara ay score nila. Not like in analytic rubric where lahi-lahi ang score sa focus, sa grammar, transitions, etc., which allows you to specify precisely which criteria or aspects of a performance are strong and which ones needs development. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of holistic rubric? So for the advantages, first is quick scoring or time saving. So using holistic rubric saves time as it minimizes the number of decisions raters make. Dili na kaayo kuti kung mag-score ta. That's why holistic rubric tends to get used when a quick judgment needs to be made. So, when assessing a brief homework assignment, it may be sufficient to use a holistic rubric to quickly review student work. Next is, it is good for summative assessment. Diba summative assessments are typically done at the end of a project? unit, course, semester program, or school year. So, this type of rubric is good for summative assessment as it gives an overall judgment of performance. Next advantage is the emphasis on what the learner is able to demonstrate rather than what he or she cannot do. Because scoring is regarded as general, the performance score places more emphasis on how well a student performed a task than on how poorly they performed it. Next is they are often written generically and can be used with many tasks. Holistic rubrics are written generically as they contain broad descriptions and list evaluation scores, each with an overall criterion summary that encompasses multiple skills. Next advantage is trained raters tend to apply them consistently, resulting in a more reliable measurement. Tungod kay di na kaayo kuti, so sayo na kaayo kon mag-score sa usa ka performance. That's why there is consistency which would result, of course, to a reliable measurement. So, let's move on to disadvantages. So, one disadvantage is it does not provide detailed information, may be difficult to provide one overall score. So, it's difficult to provide one overall score kay mag-estimate pa ka kung unsay angay score ana nga particular performance. Next is, do not provide specific feedback about strengths or areas to improve. Yeah, because in your whole performance, only one single score is provided. That's why dili ta makahibaw kung what specific criteria ta nabidya kay gi-generalize naman ang pag-score. Next is not useful for formative assessment because they lack specific details. So another is, when student work is at varying levels spanning the criteria points, it can be difficult to select the single best description. And the next is, criteria cannot be weighted. It cannot be weighted because the score is for general or gitipo na. We don't know if out of those 20 points nga nahatag, 5 ba adto para sa presentation or 5 ba adto sa organization, etc. So, when to use a holistic rubric? So, holistic rubrics are best to use when there is no single correct answer or response and the focus is on overall quality, proficiency, or understanding of a specific content or skills. And it is convenient to use holistic rubric when assessing minor assignments or performances. So, what's the difference between analytic and holistic rubric? Analytic rubrics identify and assess components of a finished product, while holistic rubrics assess student work as a whole. So, remember the words component and whole. So, for the summary, holistic rubrics contain broad descriptions and list evaluation scores, each with an overall criterion summary that encompasses multiple skills. This type of rubric are quicker to develop and learn, quicker to score, and quicker to find agreement among various evaluators than analytical rubrics or analytic rubrics. Because they produce a single score, they are most effective when the elements being assessed are closely related. However, they do not give as much feedback to students, and so they are more difficult to use as a learning tool than analytic rubrics. So that's all for my discussion, and I hope you learned from that, and thank you for listening.